The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy. Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by my human Chewy, the boy.
Hello.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. I have patrons now on Patreon, so I'm actually going to post shit there. If you go down to the description and click that link and donate $1 or more, you get neat teasery stuff from me, or maybe even like just regular old books. Whole ass books, I'll just mail to your ass. There's all kinds of good stuff down there.
Seriously, it's a good deals. I've seen the deal levels. They're good deals.
Yeah. It seemed like I was supposed to mention something else. Oh, yeah. I remember now. Excuse the clicks, because I don't really want to start the episode over, and I can't, I can't, after all of that, just not tell you guys.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't, never mind. No.
It's not important. So if you want to look up, I was sort of bullied into this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think you've seen this quote-unquote upstanding gentleman and his wrestling work.
Oh, yeah.
He's the sort of fellow you would appreciate, but I don't. I can't say that
him bully me. So
yeah, exactly. So if you guys are interested in wrestling, as you probably are listening to this podcast, and like indie wrestling, especially in the British scene, and I don't know, like gigantic assholes who treat their opponents like garbage, check out Radu Bulat. That's RADU space BULAT. That's the name of his channel. And hopefully the next time I see him, he won't stand on my neck for half an hour, now that I've plugged his channel.
Normally this is where I would go, hey guys, maybe don't, so I can watch that, but then I'm worried he'll hear back about it, and then he'll know that I was the reason, so please do go watch the videos. Radu Bullet, I am fully on your side. Please don't hurt me.
Alright, so now that we've got the plugging out of the way, let's get to the hugging.
No, do not hug me.
Yeah, this is nice.
Stop. No, stop.
Oh,
this is weird.
So
don't make it.
It's like petting a Grimer.
Oh, so anyway.
Filled 2.5 minutes on all that shit.
Woo!
But actually,
it's one of those podcasts.
No, I have a decent amount to say, I guess.
Well, I would fucking hope.
Yeah, why?
You're wearing a shirt.
I told you there was a story behind this, and let's do the actual talking about the show first.
Okay, all right.
We saw, as you can tell by the description, unless we come up with some more witty title.
Unlikely, given us.
We finally saw Star Wars, Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yeah. Spoiler-free review, because we still do that. Yep, that's still a thing we do. Good. Very good watch.
Do you like Star Wars? Go see it.
If you don't like Star Wars, maybe still go see it.
Go see it and stick it out. Trust me.
There'll be a moment where you go, why, Raven, I don't know if you were. Stick it out.
Yeah, Radu Balat was not standing on my neck for this, so you can trust my genuine word. Now to the spoilery review. I would say, overall, I really dug this film, but unlike Sitting Difficult with, I don't even remember the fucking name of the movie, the most recent one.
Episode 7?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Episode 7.
Force Awakens?
Yeah, there you go.
I figured it out.
I wasn't. You can just say Episode 7. It's okay.
I can't count, so. It's like 1, 2, a slice of cheese, red, 7.
Hey, you got the 7.
I can be a WWE referee.
No, good vibes. Good vibes.
Good vibes. Yeah, like there was an intermixing in The Force Awakens of like, oh, this is great. I didn't like that part. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Oh, this is really good. Kind That was not the case
Overall,
here.
a positive experience.
Yeah,
but
overall positive experience, but like even earlier today in casual conversation when I said I thought I liked them about the same, my brain went, "No, you didn't. You did not like The Force Awakens this much." But at the same time, I can draw a fucking line around the part of this movie that I didn't care for. Like once they get to Jeddah, everything was fine, or Jeddah, or whatever it is.
like the car, it's a Jetta.
Yeah, well, it's spelled like Jedi with an AH.
And you got to figure it's one of their ancient temples, so it's just what the natives said.
Yeah.
Who lives there? Jedi. Where? What is it? Jeddah.
Jedi stand. I don't know.
It's Jeddah's. It's the Jeddah's place. It's Jeddah.
At that point, like, I mean, you need a little bit before then to get context. I'm just being nitpicky. But at that point, oh yeah, movie's great. Good movie. Keep going, movie. You do what you're doing. I like it, and it's good.
Basically, once Ip Man shows up, I mean,
yeah. I mean, there was some other good stuff there, though. 110% once they get to the jungle planet. That shit got really good, and like
like the beach planet, you mean?
No. I mean the second planet they went to where the base was.
Like the rainy planet?
Yeah. Like any lingering.
I suppose it was jungle foliage. That was classified as rain planet in my head.
That was where any lingering doubt I had went away. And the reason for that is, like the stuff at the beginning with Mads Mikkelsen was really good. Like
Mads Mikkelsen, aces in this movie. I loved him in Doctor Strange. Better in this movie.
I don't know why. I guess Hannibal is the reason he hasn't been doing fucking anything. But then Hannibal set him free, and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to make everything, and it's all going to be really good." Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him in Doctor Strange too. I thought he was a very different villain from what we're used to seeing, and I thought that was interesting. Characterization was a little minimal, but that's more problem with the movie than it is the portrayal.
But in this movie, in Rogue One,
he was good.
He was a solid, like. First off, Disney, Episode 7 was good. It was fun, popcorn fare. It was, hey, everyone, remember what Star Wars is? No? Well, here's what Star Wars is. I get that. You were on shaky-ish ground. Then you gave me this movie, and I felt the love. I felt the love for Star Wars.
I have complaints, but they're stupid.
Yeah, nitpick is something... You can always nitpick, but... Ultimately, this movie, like, Episode 7 was J.J. Abrams' love letter to Star Wars.
Right.
This felt like something that was made by someone who loves Star Wars more.
Yeah, like, it feels like really good fanfic instead of, like, really bad but really fun fanfic.
Like,
this feels like an expanded universe novel.
Yeah, and I like the EU. I'm a little sad it is verboten. It has been unmade, uncrafted from the weave, removed from the time stream.
Now, this is not a nitpick. Like, the nitpicks would be, there wasn't an opening text crawl.
Alright, I'm absurdly, unreasonably butthurt about the lack of an opening text crawl.
I had a heads up, so it didn't bother me as much.
Now, I've since come around, especially given how the movie wraps up, I think it might have been the right call to reserve the text crawl for the episodes, for the actual Star Wars.
And I respect that. And like, hear me out here. For once,
it sets a different tone, you know? Yeah.
For once, I actually have a lot to say. Usually, I'm the guy who's like, this is my thoughts. But no, I have a lot to say here. So I should probably pull up character names, or at least actor names, because otherwise it's going to just be a bunch of shitty nicknames.
I will just call that one character Ip Man. That's I don't remember his name already.
Like, they mentioned it a lot, but it was like Chick-Ticka Vaspause, so...
It was just fucking space. My brain... Look, I usually have... While he's looking this up, I'll tell you a little thing. I usually have a really good name for fictional character names. Like, I know all the names of all the characters in Game of Thrones. And I can match them to their actors, and I don't really ever get confused. Fucking this movie just threw too much shit at the wall, and I was like, fucking space robot, Ip Man, one of White's characters.
Right. So we have here the lead, whose name is Jen Erso, played by Felicity Jones. We have Mexican Han Solo, who is, or if you prefer, Juan Solo.
I don't, because that's not who he was, though.
No, but like it's.
I really like this character, Cassian Andor.
I like his complete arc, but this is one of my biggest problems. Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna, fantastic portrayal, fantastic character. Reminded me a lot of Atten Rand, who is one of my favorite game characters. He's got so much depth to him, but the problem is those two principal characters we're introduced to early in the movie after the little prelude thing with Mads Mikkelsen, and who plays Galen Erso, whom they referred to exclusively as Galen for a long time, and I was like, that motherfucker's supposed to be Galen. Is he a lightsaber? Is this fucking Star Killer?
No, it's not. It's not a Star Killer. It's not that Galen. Apparently, Galen is the Bob of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I guess. It's like 9 guys named Galen. Anyway, but these characters are not sympathetic.
But like,
it establishes them, and I think it's important. It establishes her as somebody who's just like doing bad things because she can, and it establishes him as someone who is incredibly pragmatic.
I don't even know about doing bad things because she can. It establishes her as someone who's out for her. Like, but Jyn Erso had a hard. Jyn Erso at the beginning of the movie is clearly in favor of Jyn Erso and not many others.
There is, though, an amount of, and I point to you to that awful line in the trailer,
which they fucking cut out of the movie.
Yeah,
thank you.
Was not in that,
because that line was the sole reason I was deeply concerned about this movie. Is the sheer amount of that line and the sheer badness of it. The fact that it wasn't in the movie, it really, in case you didn't know, it's the I'm a rebel. Isn't this a rebellion? That's what I do. I rebel. It's so, my nose hurt. It was hit so hard by that line.
It was not a good line. The delivery was not good either. But it was just a trailer line, so whatever.
It was clearly something that got left on the cutting room floor. The trailer guys were like, we can use this.
It might have even just been
along
a
with
trailer
that whole
line.
speech by fucking Forrest Whitaker's character from Battlefield Earth who showed up in this movie.
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah. That's my nitpick, I think, is Saw Gerrera was... Dude, he was eating... That's the reason Jeddah fell apart. He ate all the scenery.
It was delicious, and goodbye. He did have kind of a Pa Kent moment, but at least he had reasons for it.
No, it was delicious, and goodbye! He was overacting so hard.
But he'd gone nuts. Like,
I mean, I get it. He was supposed to be playing someone who's clearly balls out crazy.
Right. So, like, it made perfect sense. I don't think it was overacting. I think he was playing just directly to his character. And that character is a weirdie who's like, dude, are you okay? Maybe you should calm down. Except you don't say that because then he shoots you or something. But, yeah, I'm not saying they're bad characters, not by any stretch.
No, they're really well-made characters.
But that first 45 minutes of the film, again, aside from the Mads Mikkelsen part, which is even a really dire section, gives you nothing to root for. You're like, oh. And it doesn't drag, and it's not boring, but it's so down, and it's so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not quite depressing, because we saw Bury the X last night. Bleak. Bury the X was depressing, but
Look,
yeah, it is a bleak period, and you're just like, what is this even a Star Wars? I'm sad.
But I liked it. I liked it because it was introducing grit back into the Star Wars universe, which I'm a defender of the prequels by and large, Episode 2 with notwithstanding. But they sucked a lot of the grit out of the Star Wars universe, and even Episode 7 has ultimately, bad things happen, but has an ultimately very optimistic message.
Well, and optimistic message or pessimistic message, that's not what I'm really worried about. I think the problem was, and I mean, I was a little upset when they did the more footage, when they did some edits to make it a little more lighthearted, because I'd originally heard it was supposed to be a darker film. Good God, if it was darker than what they gave us.
Yeah,
Fuck me, that would
that
not
was
have been
good.
fun to sit through.
Reshoot's good idea because that would have been a fucking funeral dirge.
I mean, jeez.
But I like that they inserted some great, and I like that they started out with these characters not being likable. It does make the beginning of the movie drag a little bit.
It does. If there could have been a scene between the opening and a lot of the early character building we had to show them off as kind of shitty people, or if there had been a moment where we kind of got to feel for Cashin's position.
Which does come, but it comes later.
It comes way the fuck later. And
once you've earned it, sort of thing.
Sure, I get that. It was just like, you had me on faith and the fact that I didn't want to waste $10.
And your faith was rewarded.
It was. And
sometimes you got to be willing to commit to a movie. You got to be willing to commit to the journey the movie wants to take you on. And I would say ultimately that Rogue One, a Star Wars story, God, it's fucking...
Rogue One is fine.
It's a clunky title.
It is. Just Rogue One is fine. It's not like there's going to be a Rogue One 2.
No. Rogue 2 is not an option, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I mean, Rogue 2 is an option.
Well, yeah, but Rogue 2 standing by is an option.
Or Rogue Squadron, that's fine.
But it will not be carrying on the plot from Rogue One. They made that very clear.
I also feel like a lot of the stuff, I mean, yeah, there was good acting, but a lot of the stuff that we got told in the first half hour-ish of the movie, maybe 20 minutes, probably could have been replaced by an opening text crawl and done just as well.
But I respect the tonal difference that showing you.
Sure.
And because ultimately Rogue One isn't a story about grand, things of galactic importance happen, but they build to that. It starts out with a very small story.
Sure, and in tone, I find this movie is perhaps even more inspired by Kurosawa than the original Star Wars trilogy. This is a very Japanese movie, and I don't mean that as in there's a lot of tentacle porn and silly underwear jokes. I mean that it's a very Japanese movie in that it feels
in its
like
philosophy.
Yeah, it's very just the samurai and the noble death and all that shit. That's not really Western.
It feels like a movie about the end of the samurai.
Yeah,
it's that exact sort of Kurosawa vibe you get.
Sure, and
it works because like I said, I'm unreasonably butthurt about it, but I like the lack of an opening text crawl because it sets that tone. There's a very small, personal story. That way when it ramps and builds, it feels more natural. Whereas if you start with the opening text crawl, it disconnects us from the characters a little bit, and that's okay in a Star Wars movie because, by and large, these are archetypes. You're supposed to like them and have fun, but it's not very personal,
Yeah, and I don't even, okay, I can talk about the opening text crawl. Again, at the end, I'm not really, I understand. And you made the perfect point. It shows that it's a different film. It's not a Star Wars numbered, in the series. But something in there, something to liven things up. Like a fucking scene of Saw Gerrera and young Jin interacting to warm your heart a bit. Just like something in between that round of bitter pills would have...
Just like a spoonful of sugar?
Yeah, just a spoonful of sugar would have helped. And just to carry us through until fucking Alan Tudyk shows up. At which point I was like, oh my god, a character I don't hate. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Cthulhu.
I didn't hate any of these characters. That's worth saying. It's not that they're inherently hateable. I didn't hate either of these people.
Well,
I got that they were not necessarily good people, but I was interested in them.
And I don't trust that kind of shit because I've been burned by that kind of shit a lot in the last couple of years.
Because there's a very thin line between not necessarily good but interesting person and Walter White.
Sure.
Or Walter White is a hateable douche.
Even the pointless churn of cannon fodder that are Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Because there's ultimately not good people who are interesting in those shows, but at the end of the day, George R. R. Martin has sharp knives, and so does the guy who writes The Walking Dead, and they're prepared to use them, so you can't get attached. This isn't the same situation, but them being the same sort of archetypes as those other characters, you've been conditioned to go, no, you're shit, and you're probably never going to get better, and then you're going to die. I'm not.
Right.
We're done.
I mean, it's like, one of my...
And, I mean, like, partially true.
my favorite character in The Walking Dead was...
Tyrese.
Yeah, Tyrese. And one of the reasons he became one of my favorite characters is because I thought he had such an interesting story revolving around him.
Being essentially unkillable by zombies.
No, season 2 or 3, I forget whatever happened. But his sister died. She was infected. But
and somebody killed her.
And somebody
turns out it was Carol.
Turns out it was Carol. But they spoilers, I guess. But he had these conflicts with Rick. All right, it was a shitty thing to do, but he did it, she did it for good reasons. Rick was protecting her for good reasons. Carol is so useful and a good person. And he was...
useful. Good as in useful. Carol's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, that's debatable on a different podcast we'll never record. But,
true.
And at the same time, it's selfish and a little unreasonable to try to cling on to someone who is so diseased. But at the same time, how can you really blame the guy?
It's his sister.
And this is lovely conflict that never came to anything. I mean, there was a brief moment between him and Carol where he's like, yeah, you all right. And then he died 2 episodes later.
Because it turns out the guy who played him got another show, so they had to write the character out.
Sure, but regardless of the reason, it led to nothing. And most of the shit on that show ends up leading to nothing.
I liked Tyrese because Tyrese was still trying to be a good person.
Yeah, and he was clinging on to that shit. There was a lot to like him about it, but that was what first drew me.
Different show.
Yeah, different show. And I was afraid shit like that was going to happen. Not because Star Wars has taught me to be afraid of that, but because, modern pop culture, especially in the visual medium like movies and TV, has taught me to do that. But then we had Chirrut Imwe, which was Donnie Yen, which Boy has been referring to as Ip Man. Because,
Call a spade, my man. Yeah.
He also had his friend who I've been referring to as Human Chewie.
This character's honestly, Baz Malus, I believe.
Baze Malbus. Yeah, there he is.
He's just such a fucking good character.
Wen Jiang is his actor's name.
Such a good character, such a good performance.
Just fantastic. And he looks like somebody out of Star Wars. I loved his look because it looked like Mandalorian armor, but like the Kmart version.
He looked like a Mandaboo.
And it didn't fit him well, and all that, but his weapons were nice.
And he had a Mandalorian Gatling laser, and there is no quicker way to get on my good side than I love this character. I love that character's. I love I gotta stop because the character is actually really good and worth it and deserves better than Ip Man as a joke nickname. Chirrut is a really solid character.
I love that he's the first Force user we've seen that isn't a Jedi or won't be a Jedi.
He's not,
with the exception of theoretically Han Solo. That's up for debate. I think the theories behind it are solid.
So do I, actually.
But, this is the first 100% Force user.
Because either he was crazy or was a Force user, but no, he was blind. He clearly had something going on.
Yeah, which I loved, and they played it so well. The character was fantastic.
There's just this is the part of the podcast where I could just go in the quote spree because there's just those two characters are a little self-contained mini version of the entire movie, and it's so good.
And they're fantastic because you want to know their backstory and you want to know, all their adventures because they've clearly been through some shit together. You get what you get in this movie. I liked a lot Bodhi Rook, who was the former Imperial pilot played by Riz Ahmed. I like that he went crazy over the course of the film, early in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I like that his crazy wasn't wacky. It wasn't even A-Team style crazy. He was just anxious about everything, and he was under constant pressure existing. And it was quiet. It wasn't overstated, but it was there. It was in his eyes. It was in his performance. It was fantastic. I was blown away by it. I mean, I was glad.
Again, all right. So, quick plot spoilers because I keep coming back to it. I don't feel like going. I don't feel like going over the whole plot of the movie.
Sure.
Partially because I feel like you should watch the movie, but partially because it would take a while and just sort of I wouldn't be able to get across the nuance. But there's not going to be a sequel to this movie because by the end, every main character, every part of Rogue One, as it were, is so dead. So completely dead. Like, we're talking blown up by the literal Death Star dead.
Yeah.
As dead as Alderaan, okay?
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it's... That having that hard stop, I think, is what prevents them from doing Walking Dead or Game of Thrones shit. Because they know the ends for these characters, so they don't have to drag it out.
Sure. And as I said, after seeing the entire movie, I can look back and respect that first 45 minutes. But, I don't know when I want to watch this again because that first 45 minutes is such a hard sit.
In the same way that the first chapter of a book should grab you. Or the first bit of a thing should grab you. You want to hook your audience. You want to bring them in. This movie asks for something from you. It asks for faith. It asks for a little trust. And I really recommend you give it that trust.
Oh yeah, 110%. That's what I said in the fucking spoiler-free version. Is sit it out. You're gonna want to get up and be like, I don't think this is for me. But no, wait it out because oh my god, that's probably the best space battle ever.
What, the final battle on fucking Archive Planet that the name has escaped me? I think that's it. I think I like this movie so much. The emotions of this movie got to me so much. I don't remember the details. It's just fucking. The journey.
It's not like they have a bunch of weird introductions. You get to know Jen Erso. They say her name constantly, but even Cashin, they don't mention him but a couple of times.
By name, no.
By name, no. Alan Tudyk's character, the robot, K2SO. They'll call his name out a couple of times. Usually, just call him K
or K2
or K2. But the rest of them, Chirrut's name's mentioned once, and I believe just Chirrut. And then they never fucking mentioned Baze Malbus. They never fucking mentioned Bodhi Rook. Saw Gerrera gets talked about a lot.
I think maybe, they say Chirrut's name a couple times, but only a couple.
And that's fine. But, don't blame yourself or even your emotions, your emotional investment in the movie from not knowing these names. Now,
they don't dwell on
when they go to the planets, they'll pop up a name and they might name the
They
planet
do the
a couple of
Irkutsk.
times.
They do the Irkutsk thing. They do the
not as obnoxious as Avengers 2 or no, Captain America 3.
Yeah.
But
not Helvetica.
Yeah, no, it's just down at the bottom of the screen. But great, one of the best lightsaber fight scenes, and there wasn't a lightsaber in it, and
yeah,
and just purely the best space battle. Period. 110%. I don't give a shit.
I don't know, dude. That first few minutes of Revenge of the Sith is really good, though.
It's really good. The first few minutes of Revenge of the Sith, but this was the last hour of the movie, and it was.
This
incredible.
was the same ratio of time as the battle on
the Battle for Endor,
or the battle on Starkiller Base.
Sure.
And honestly, the battle on Starkiller Base is really good. This is better.
Oh my god, because they pay so much more attention to the actual dogfighting than the Starkiller Base battle. Fucking Starkiller Base battle wasn't that... It didn't have that sense of tension. They did the Star Wars thing where they don't even necessarily need to tell you the names of the motherfuckers, but they make them all distinct looking, and, they show off the coolness of the ships.
They had Asian Porkins. I was happy about that.
They had...
And he goes down in true Porkins fashion.
They had Y-Wings, they had B-Wings, they had... some weird thing. I didn't even know what the fuck it was. They had X-Wings. It was awesome.
They had these ships that, alright, tiny continuity nerd thing for me. They had these ships in the Alliance that were reminiscent of stripped down, shitty, broken junker versions of Naboo cruisers. And my heart swelled 3 sizes that day. Because I don't give a shit if you like the prequels. That's some love for continuity.
Exactly. My only continuity love frown is that not only were there no Bothans, but there was not a character named Manny Bothans.
No, there was. We've decided it was that guy who, right when they know where the master switch is,
they're all sitting
to let
in
the signal loose. He's like, He's clearly a guy who's used to being a badass. So he's like, I'm going for it, and he immediately dies. We decided that was Manny Bothans, hero of the rebellion, and like he had done some like 4 amazing things in like previous missions for the rebellion. So he was a widely known hero, and he died, and that was what really drove it home for the rebellion. It was Manny Bothans died to bring us this information. And then eventually they redacted it to many rebels because they didn't want to put too much emphasis on just the one guy.
Yeah,
other people were there too.
Yeah, lots of people.
Some guy named Cassian who was kind of a dick that nobody liked, but like
he was their Reyes.
Yeah,
he was their Reaper. Go do something we don't want to do.
Some lady who'd been there for like a day and this robot, but there was like these 2 other dudes who showed up with the new lady. And we don't know why, but Manny Bothans was there. No, we have to focus on all of the rebels who brought us the information.
Yeah, I dug it. I dug the thing I'm not going to mention because it was planned out of my fucking book because it deserves to be seen, you motherfuckers.
There's so much here. All right, so you may remember because I think we did a podcast on Man of Steel. Way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
You may remember that I may have waxed on poetic, and if not, I don't know what was I was on crack that day because it's one of my favorite moments in the movie. Is that moment of the general versus the lady Kryptonian who they don't actually name in the movie. A good death is its own reward. Just this movie had a lot of those feels, and that's a quick way into my good graces movie.
It was just this film, just quality. And I can say I don't know when I'm going to watch it again because of that.
Because just because it was good doesn't mean it's comfort food.
Sure, no, it's not comfort food.
This was a hard movie. It was an amazing movie. I wouldn't put it in my top 10 because ultimately I might be too much of a sissy to have that movie in my top 10. It was a little rough.
I don't know if it breaks my top 10 like of all time. I don't know about that. Because I don't think it breaks my top Star Wars films.
No.
I still like Jedi more. Sorry. And also
Empire's still the perfect Star Wars movie. I'll fight you.
But you know what? Like the more and more I get away from it, the more I just like it enough more in enough different ways than The Force Awakens that it beats that out, and The Force Awakens was a hell of a lot better than Episode 1.
It does beat The Force Awakens for me, but I'm not surprised because my favorite is Empire. Of course I liked the one with the downer ending.
No, it's had a good ending.
Yeah,
it has a good ending that gives a character in the original trilogy some extra balls.
Like, just huge swinging balls that drag the ground when she walks. That's why she has to wear the dress.
Oh my god. Yeah, so let me check time here because if we gotta fill. No, we don't gotta fill. Cool.
Also, there's one thing that's you don't expect. But I will say, you don't see it for long. But there is a lightsaber fight in this movie.
I wouldn't call it that.
I wouldn't call it a fight. You see it, it's very brief, and it is so good.
It is good. Whoever did the choreography in this film is fantastic.
I want to go on in details because they used both elements of Anakin's style from Episode 3 and the much more compact old man style that the guy who doesn't know a sword fight that they had playing Darth Vader used in Episode 4.
David, perhaps.
Yeah, he might. I don't know. But, it was sad. But they combined the two that you can tell that, it makes it make sense. Because that makes it obvious that he was doing that very tentative, we're just gonna joust a little bit because he's old, but against fucking goobers, he's still ready to throw out the flares and the twists and the spins.
Well, here's the fun thing, though. This is what I enjoyed, and I actually was thinking about this during the film. So I have a wrestler character that I created whose name is Blackjack Benjamin. Blackjack Benjamin is a crazy dude. He has a giant tattoo of Darth Vader on his back that reads Original Gangsta. And it's just like his whole back is this Darth Vader tattoo, and he says his religion is like the Sith. So this is this kind of dude. I mean, he's a hard man, full stop. But he loves Darth Vader, and
this was Darth Vader's original gangsta moment.
That scene, like, and even this, like, when I use him because he's a wrestler in E-Feds and stuff, so he uses Kanye West's "Monster" as his entrance music, and like when the all that darkness, and then there's just this sense of dread you can feel from the rebel.
Like it's a scene out of fucking Aliens, right in the middle of the movie,
and he just pops out and starts wrecking shit. Oh my god!
I love it. It's just I really enjoy that they made it clear that Darth Vader's still a hard man.
The Black Jack Benjamin inside me. You all have pieces of your characters inside you when you create them.
The person inside you who fucking loves Darth Vader
was like, yes, this is him.
this is the scourge of the fucking galaxy. This is Vader.
That's the guy on my back. It was fantastic. But go see the movie. Before we go telling you every fucking scene, the story about the shirt.
We will get there. To the shirt. He's wearing a Rogue One t-shirt right now.
So my wife
that he didn't own when I left for work this morning.
My wife says we're gonna stop by the Big and Tall shop because I wear a 3X usually, but you know, I get a little self-conscious. I'm a big fella, you know, it's a kind of tight shirt. So she's like, we'll stop by the Big and Tall store. We'll get you a big fuck-off t-shirt. We'll see how it makes you feel. So she goes in there, and she's like, they got 5X and 6X, and I'm like, what? Yes, give me a 6X. It'll be like a dress. And it's so comfortable. But, I could probably wear it as a dress. It would not be church-friendly.
It would be immodest.
It would be immodest, but I could. It covers all the necessary bits. But, so she's showing me the shirts they have in there, and, like, they're not generic. They have name-brand stuff, obviously. But the designs aren't the coolest shit. And when we were looking on their website, most of their stuff was The Force Awakens. And Kylo Ren's a good character.
Kylo Ren's an amazing character.
I don't want to advertise that asshole on my chest.
No, he's a garbage can. He's my favorite garbage can, but he's a garbage can.
I just want to hit him just once, right in the mouth.
Yes, he's supposed to be incredibly hittable. That performance could not have been intended as anything other than, I want to slap this little asshole in the mouth
and I don't want anyone to slap my titty because they're mad at him. Or because they like him, really. And no titty slaps. Let's just make that a moratorium. I said, she's like, well, what about Rogue One? You like that? And I was like, yeah, but like they're gonna all be the, you know, Jen and the other dude, who at the time I called Juan Solo. But you know,
he's much closer to Atten.
He's much closer.
You nailed that.
No, yeah, and
Mexican Atten.
I fucking love that. Anyway. I'm trying to think of the equivalent, but I can't. I got nothing. So she goes in there and she like video chats me and shows me the shirt, and because I told her, you know, if it had the cool robot or, you know, with Donnie Yen.
Yeah, Donnie Yen.
And Chirrut
or Baze, who I'm convinced they don't say his name once.
I don't think they do because he was originally our idea for Manny Bothans. But anyway. If they had a shirt with them on it, any of those characters, sure, I'd dig that, but they're not gonna. They're gonna be, this early after the movie came out, they're gonna be pushing the two main characters. So she shows me the shirt, and it's just the Star Wars logo. It's grayscale with splashes of red, and their faces are colored in.
And it's like a little montage. Yeah. It's a little, like, group shot.
And it's got everybody.
Cool Robot is the most prominent character.
The most prominent, and, like, Cashin and Jin are just, they're small, they're off to the side. Got more of her stomach than anything, really. So I was like, yeah, shit, let's do it. Pick it up, whatever.
Yeah, that is an interesting story. But it speaks to how much you like the movie. You're picky about what you put on your chest, my man.
Not quite as picky as you, but
no, I'm absurdly picky about the t-shirts I wear.
So, yeah, I guess...
I never want to have that moment where, hey, cool thing. Yeah, I'm not actually...
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, I can't wear a Batman...
If someone goes, hey, cool thing, I want to be able to go, you're goddamn right.
I can't wear Batman or Spider-Man shirts anymore. I can't. And you guys have heard on the podcast before. Why? If not, go back and check the other podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
They had some cool Mario shirts, though. I would have worn one of those. But anyway, this isn't a podcast about my shirt. It was a podcast about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So this Two Nerds a Podcast story suggests you go watch it with your eyes. And you use your ears also. Those are good. Unless you're deaf, then get subtitles.
Side note, if you're deaf, I can't imagine the YouTube closed caption thing is that good, so I'm sure this is...
Yeah, it's just like chocolate pinata, eat my pine cone, you fuck.
So you know what? Maybe you're just here for the weird goofs, but hopefully it gets the closing line across. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's get hot.